Hello everybody, my name is Mark. Welcome to my channel. I will be your host, and today I am sharing with you an amazing upper body pull workout that you could do at the gym. Let's do this. Throughout this video, I will be showing you a series of exercises and how you can effectively perform them. Now, if you stick till the end of this video, you'll find that I'm also gonna explain a couple of hints and tips that will maximize performance and contraction in your biceps muscle group. For those of you who don't have a clear idea of what a pull workout really means, the definition of a pull workout is where muscles contract when the weight is being pulled towards the midline of your body. When it comes to the upper body, the primary muscles in a pull workout include all of the back muscles such as the lats, rhomboids, traps, spinal muscles and rear delts, as well as the biceps muscle group. First of all, I'm gonna go through one important exercise for upper body strength and lat development, and that's the pull-up. Start by settling below the pull-up bar and by grasping it using a pronated grip, which means having your palms turned down or away from your body. Now, you might have heard some gym bros stating that the wider you go, the bigger you grow. I just want to make it clear that this is a big fallacy and that has been misleading a lot of trainees for a while. Lat activation is quite the same when it comes to having 2 times your palm size measured grip width and wider grips such as 3 or 4 times palm size out. The only difference is that having an excessive wide grip tends to add abnormal pressure on the shoulder and elbow joints, which in turn makes them possibly prone to injury. So 2 to 2.5 times palm size wide grip can act as a middle ground between optimal lat activation and joint health. Now for the grip itself. I advise you use a closed grip instead of the suicide grip, because the closed grip can promote overall firm grip strength, while the suicide grip can weaken your wrist, cause future pain symptoms around the wrist or elbow joint, and lead to earlier fatigue in the exercise as a whole. Once you've settled, tighten your ab muscles and your glutes to maintain a stiff torso throughout the exercise. Then take a deep breath and initiate the lift by pulling yourself up, exhale, and slowly lower yourself down to the bottom of the move in a controlled manner. Breathe in and continue until you reach the desired amount of reps. So, the pull-up is a good way to start off a pull day. If you find it easy as a bodyweight exercise, you can always change some weight using a dipping belt, or if the exercise is simply too hard, you can start with the assisted pull-up machine and progress from there. Another exercise to target your lats is the banded T-bar row at a neutral grip. Now, the reason we're using a band is to apply constant tension on the back muscles during this exercise. Start by laying over the bench. Slightly bend your knees and make sure to lay the middle or lower part of your chest on the top end of the bench. Grasp the handles with a tight closed grip and initiate the row by retracting your back and continuously pulling the bar until your elbows slightly cross your midline. Avoid bending your wrists and focus on leading the row with your elbows. The band will be adding pressure at the top end of the move instead of little to no pressure at all without it, because without the band, the bar itself after crossing the 45-degree angle would have gained momentum from the force being generated by your pulling muscles, which will cause it then to lose its direct tension slightly before it changes direction and falls back to the bottom of the move. Make sure to slowly and safely come down with the weight, and keep in mind to not let the simplicity of this exercise convince you into adding meaningless weights, because that will in turn lead you to sacrificing technique, proper muscle activation, and most importantly, your own physical safety. To focus on each side individually, we will perform the single arm seated row exercise. First, you want to start by positioning your feet at shoulder width on the footplate of the seated row machine and by grabbing the single arm handle. Then, while maintaining a straight back alignment, you want to push yourself back using your legs and this will be your starting position. Begin the row by pulling the handle back towards your midline, and observe carefully how I am rotating my arm inwards as I pull and rotating it downwards or pronating it as I come back to the starting position. Also make sure that your elbow and forearm are close to your body and in line with your stomach, because excessively bending the elbow will flex the biceps and partly eliminate the range of motion required to allow for full flexion of the back muscles, making it a biceps dominant exercise. Finally, to maximize contraction over your back muscles, focus on slightly coming back with your torso as you pull and forward as you return to the starting position, while maintaining a straight back. Careful on overdoing this, because it can lead to either giving you too much momentum during the exercise or possibly lead to injury. Okay, so next we're gonna work the rear delts using the seated machine posterior fly with the pronated grip. Now rhomboids, traps, and scapular muscles also activate during this exercise, but the main emphasis is applied over the rear delts. First you need to sit down facing the machine, push your hips back, make sure you have your chest stuck to the bench, and your feet planted at the front. Then grasp the handles with a firm pronated grip, which means that you should have the palm of your hand facing the ground. If you're wondering about how to adjust the height of the seated position, the best way to do it is to elevate or drop the bench until you find a spot where you'd be able to sit and have your arms completely parallel to the ground while extended, and your feet able to touch the ground from toe to ankle. This way, you can safely perform the exercise without adding abnormal pressure over your shoulder joint because of an angle that is not completely horizontal in equivalence to how the machine works, while at the same time being able to stabilize yourself using your own feet. To initiate a proper lift, maintain a solid straight arm position and bring the handles out to the side by squeezing your shoulder blades together on your way back. Proper form and technique are crucial for this exercise to give you a good result, so mindfully overload the machine and focus on your weight limits as an individual to lift by engaging the right muscles. Before moving on to the biceps, I added one more exercise to work those upper trap muscles, and that is the standing barbell shrug. Start by standing behind the bar with your feet at shoulder width apart. Make sure your knees are slightly bent and that you're positioned right in the middle of the bar. Now grasp the bar with a wide closed grip, which means having your arms 1 times palm size outside your shoulders for that width, and your thumb wrapped around the bar for the closed grip. As you're now in the starting position, extend your hip as you carry the bar until you're able to lock your hips by standing straight and squeezing your glutes. Then begin the move by lifting your shoulders up and in towards your ears to get a full contraction in those trap muscles. Then return to the starting position and mindfully repeat the move until you reach the desired or recommended amount of repetitions. I hope that by now you've realized how much proper technique is crucial and that moving your ego aside is of great importance, especially when it comes to sensitive mind-muscle exercises such as the barbell shrugs. So avoid adding excessive weight and lifting the bar with anything but your traps. Don't look at anyone but yourself, for each and every individual has their own set of goals. Moving on to the next muscle group that we will be working on our pull day. Biceps play a major role in pull motion since most of it involves flexion of the elbow joint, which is the biceps' primary function. One other thing the biceps can do, and that is supination of the forearm, which means turning the palm of your hand up towards the ceiling. A way to combine these together is to perform a bicep curl, and in this workout we will be looking at the standing easy bar bicep curl, which can act as a good overloading exercise and will create a full contraction at the biceps muscle group. Start by holding the bar and taking a shoulder width feet stance. Slightly turn your toes and knees out and keep your knees slightly bent. Hold the bar at mid-grip width, which will have your arms semi-supinated. Squeeze your glutes and tighten your abs to be in a stable and safe position. Then bring the weight up and towards your shoulders by flexing the elbows and then back down to the starting position. Now if you've noticed, I'm elevating the bar towards my chin by slightly bringing my elbows forward and up, then back with the bar as I return down. This little technique adds in the third function of the biceps, which is weak shoulder flexion. Doing so will maximize contraction in the biceps as we are simultaneously working all 3 functions of the muscle group. Try to keep a controlled motion and be careful not to cheat your way up if it was too heavy, since in this workout our main focus is performing a full controlled curl instead of a heavy cheat curl. Finally, a little burnout that will put the focus on your forearm and bicep muscles, precisely the long head of the biceps, the brachialis and the brachioradialis muscles, since we will be working with arms pronated and in neutral grips as well. Start by grasping the dumbbells with an open grip, which means you'll have your thumb out next to the other fingers instead of wrapping it around. Now have yourself standing in the position you took with the EZ bar bicep curl, only now you'll start with the reverse curl, which means having your palms facing the ground. Focus only on flexing and extending your elbows in a controlled manner. You don't need to bring the weight up towards your chin like in the previous exercise. Just make sure to keep your wrist straight and aligned with your forearm, because failure to do so means the weight is too heavy for you to carry in this position. Then as soon as you're done with your first set of reps, quickly switch to a neutral grip position and proceed with a dumbbell hammer curl until you reach the desired or recommended amount of repetitions. If you feel like the first set of reps got your arms tired enough so that you're not able to use the same weights on the hammer curl, you can always keep another pair of lighter dumbbells right next to you so you can exchange them between sets. That does it for this workout. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're looking to see more, leave me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next video. P.S. I'd like to leave a thank you note to my great friend Serge, who helped me in filming this video and who's also been an amazing gym partner.
ثانية